In our last video, we briefly moved away from the story of Louis XIV and Louise de La Vallière to talk about the ill-fated career of Nicolas Fouquet. It was Fouquet who provided the inspiration and idea for the Palace of Versailles. While building the stunning Château de Vaux-le-Vicomte, Fouquet inadvertently offended King Louis, who, upon visiting the chateau, was so enraged that he decided to kill Fouquet. After getting rid of Fouquet, Louis enlisted the same architects and decorators who worked on Vaux-le-Vicomte, and made them work on the Palace of Versailles. Versailles started with a small hunting lodge, but under Louis XIV, it was transformed into a grand palace. As Louis spent time at Versailles, he started entertaining the idea of moving the entire court to Versailles. The problem was, the nobility were unanimously opposed to moving to Versailles. They had their bases in Paris, and were accustomed to the Parisian life. In contrast, Versailles was in a constant state of expansion under Louis, and there were constructions going on all over the place. There were also not enough space for all the nobles, which necessitated further construction. In short, Versailles was uncomfortable. But, unlike the nobles, Louis despised Paris. He had traumatic memories of Paris from the Fronde, which made him feel as though he were a prisoner among the nobles. When he pushed for the capital's relocation, he faced fierce resistance from the nobles. But Louis could ultimately push his will. This was partly thanks to Colbert, who became the chief minister with Fouquet's downfall. Colbert successfully put tax reforms in place, so Louis had the funds to build the palace without relying on the nobles. He also helped Louis to seize assets of many nobles on the charge of embezzlement of state funds, so many nobles had no choice but to follow Louis's will. On top of that, Louis possessed immense charisma and a ruthless streak, eliminating anyone who defied him. At this time, Duchess of Orleans, Henrietta, and the Count de Guiche were trying to separate Louis and Louise de La Vallière for their own reasons. The problem was that Louise had no obvious vulnerabilities. Typically, the best way to turn the king against her would have been to suggest that Louise had another man, or at least a lingering past lover. But Louise had no such history. Louis was her first love, and she ignored the advances of any other men, including the notorious Count de Guiche. This left Henrietta and the Count with no choice but to spread false rumors about Louise. Rumors they spread ranged from Louise secretly flirting with several other men, to Louise using potions from witches to capture Louis's heart. They also tried to secretly tell Queen Marie-Therese about Louis's affair with Louise, trying to have the Queen intervene. Ultimately, these efforts failed, only enraging Louis and causing a backlash. Investigating the rumors, Louis discovered the Count de Guiche's involvement, and learned of his affair with Henrietta. This further infuriated possessive Louis. Although he himself had moved on from Henrietta, Louis disliked the idea of her being involved with someone else. The Count de Guiche was immediately exiled, and Henrietta was barred from the court for a long time. Though she eventually gained Louis's forgiveness, she never reclaimed his full favor as before. This scandal also shattered Henrietta's marriage. Philippe was furious. Feeling betrayed by both his wife and the Count, his jealousy and sense of betrayal were immense. And Philippe, known for holding grudges, never forgot this incident. Henrietta, who had emotionally abandoned her husband long ago, could never mend their relationship. In retrospect, Henrietta's actions, manipulated by the Count, seemed foolish, especially for someone usually so intelligent. Her judgment was clouded by obsession and jealousy, and she lost her way. For their rumors to work, there needed to be some seed of doubt in Louis's heart towards Louise, but at that time, Louis was completely smitten with her, making the rumors ineffective. The Count de Guiche was eventually pardoned. Although exiled, he remained loyal to his country, showing bravery in wars abroad, and achieving significant victories. He was forgiven, and, in 1672, marched alongside Louis in the war against the Netherlands. Unfortunately, he died young at 36, after many more military exploits. So what happened to Louis and Louise? As many of you already know, they did not live happily ever after. Even after they became lovers, Louise struggled with the moral burden of the affair. She felt tremendous guilt towards the Queen, and could not face Henriette. Additionally, their relationship faced severe public criticism. At that time, Louis's absolute monarchy was not yet fully established, so the church still intervened in the king's private life. Notably, the Bishop of Meaux, Bossuet, publicly condemned the king for taking Louise as his mistress. A priest once saw Louise attending Mass, and, without naming names, delivered a scathing sermon that satirized the king and Louise, forcing her to leave the service hastily. To quell public opinion, Louise temporarily hid in a convent in Chaillot. French court, known for its rampant gossip and cutthroat backstabbings, was full of people who would tear others apart at the slightest weakness. This was especially for the king's current favorite, who became the target of all others who wanted Louise's position for themselves. And one such person was Olympia Mancini, Countess of Soissons, who certainly deserve a whole video on her own, but we will come back to that. She was one of the Mazarinette, the famous nieces of Cardinal Mazarin, who grew up with King Louis. She also had been Louis's lover for a short time, and despised Louise. But Louis defended Louise against the criticism of the clergy, and against the plots by Olympia. Some believe that one of the reasons Louis moved from the chateau of Saint-Germain-en-Laye to Versailles was to be with Louise in peace. Seeing Louis's efforts to protect her, Louise felt genuine attachment for him that went beyond a mere fling. On Louis's part, he appreciated Louise's genuineness and loyalty. When Henriette and the Count de Guiche slandered Louise, Louis discovered their plot and started suspecting an affair between them. Furious, Louis asked Louise if she knew anything about their secret relationship. Of course Louise had known about it all along, but she denied any knowledge to protect Henriette, ending up earning Louis's scolding. But Louise's nature was like that. She was a person who would rather face punishment than speak ill of others. This quality earned Louis's increasing trust, and he started treating her more like a long-term companion, not just a passing fling like he did with many other women. These were their best times together. The peak of Louise's life was likely in 1664, during the grand party at Versailles, celebrating the construction of the main palace building. Queen Mother Anne of Austria and Queen Marie-Thérèse were also present. But Louise was the undisputed star of the occasion. Defying all opposition, Louis declared Louise his official mistress. By this time, she had already given birth to Louis's son, Charles, although he died in infancy. Louise was also pregnant with another child. With Louise's status made official, many people wanted to curry favor. Although Louis had flings with other women even while he continued the relationship with Louise, Louise remained patient. She knew Louis would eventually come back to her. Louis trusted and confided in Louise more than anyone else. They had a deep emotional bond. In short, they were a happy couple. In 1666, Louise became pregnant with Louis's child again. Louise began to worry about her pregnancy. Although she had given birth to 2 sons, they both died early. She worried that maybe, her carrying out various activities at court during pregnancy, may have caused the children to be born weak, and she was determined not to repeat the same mistake. Around that time, a woman named Françoise de Rochechouart entered Louise's social circle. She will later become the Marquise de Montespan. She was born into a noble family that had fallen on hard times. So she had high pride for her noble birth, but also had to endure having to live in a manner that she considered to be beneath her station. This shaped her into a proactive and somewhat cynical person. Noted for her beauty from a young age, she entered the court in her early 20s as a lady-in-waiting to the Duchess of Orleans, Henriette, like Louise once did. After entering the court, she felt her name Françoise was too common, and changed her name to Athenae, after the Greek goddess Athena. Daring to name herself after the goddess of wisdom and war shows the type of person she was. She was an ambitious and also audacious woman. In our next video, we will find out how Françoise Athena unseated Louise from her position, and what Athena's husband did about it. So please like and subscribe to continue receiving the next installments of Stories from History. It really helps a small channel like us.